The learning Zili Nishmas Etta Ahuva Bava Basra Perches Mishna Yomi. If someone says, I don't want my Bechar to get double, or he says, I don't want one of my children to yarshin me, it doesn't work. The Torah says that each child yarshins equally, and the Torah also says that the Bechar gets double the other children, and therefore if he uses a Lashon Yerusha and says it should work differently, it's masna mashakasa b'Torah, and it's not going to work. However, hamachalik nechasa l'banav al piv, and he's riba le'echad u'miyah la'achar, if he does a b'Torah's matana, and he gives one child more than the other, v'hishva lahen es habachar, or he doesn't give the bachar double, since he did it b'lashon matana, it's devar of kayamam, it is mekuyim because he's not being masna mashakasa b'Torah, he's doing a b'Torah's matana. V'im amar mishum Yerusha, it's only if he said a mishum Yerusha, then it's lo yamar klum. Kasa bein betchila bein be'emsa bein b'seif mishum matana. Let's say in this matana / Yerusha he uses both lashonos. As long as he uses the lashon matana either in the beginning or in the middle or at the end, it's going to work. It's dvarim kayama and it's not masna mashakasa b'Torah. Mishnah continues. Ha'omer ish pleni yersheni b'makom sheyesh bas. If someone says he has no sons, all he has is daughters, and he says, I want a different person to yarshin me. He uses the lashon Yerusha. And the Torah says, if there's no sons, the daughter is yarshin, not someone else. So it's masa mashakasa b'Torah again. Or he says, bita tersheni b'makom sheyesh ben. There are sons, and he wants a bas to yarshin. So lo yamar klum. It wouldn't work b'Torah's Yerusha because she is now mashakasa b'Torah. Over here also, if he would do a b'lashon matana, then it wouldn't be a problem master mashakasa b'Torah. But if he's giving it over b'Torah's Yerusha and he's saying not like the dini Yerusha in the Torah, then it's master mashakasa b'Torah and it's not going to be chal. Rabbi Yochanan comes and he says a chiddush. Im amar al mi shoroi Yerusha dvar of kayamav. If he says, let's say there's two brothers that are both roi to yarshin, and he wants one of the brothers to yarshin more than the others, then it will work. As long as they're both roi to yarshin equally, so it wouldn't work if, let's say, there's a ach and a bas, and he wants to give it to the ach over the bas. No, we know the bas comes first. But if there's two banim, and the banim are supposed to get Yerusha equally, and he wants to give to one ben over the other one, Rabbi Yochanan holds that could work even b'Torah's Yerusha. And the Gemara darshans out from a pasuk, v'hayu b'yayim hanchilo es banav. We darshan haTorah nitna rishus la'av. The Torah gives permission to the father lahanchil lebanim lemishi yirtzeh, that he could give to whichever one of his sons he wants to give it to. Val misha ain't a Yerusha in dvar kayam. But Rabbi Yochanan is only talking about someone who's right to yarshin equally, not someone who's not right to yarshin. The Mishnah continues weiter. If someone wants to get the assets out of his own, he doesn't want to have his assets. He's doing Medicaid planning, or he wants to get remarried, and he doesn't want to have assets in his name, so he gives it over to someone else. He doesn't give it over to his children, because he gave it to his matana. Chazal weren't nicha with him because Chazal wanted that the children should get it. If the children are not neye kishura kifi the Torah, then zachar latayv, then it's zachar latayv. But the Tanakama held that no, you may think that your children are now not neye kishura, but zimnim were down the line, it's going to come out benin kashin, and they're kosher kids, and they're not going to get the Yerusha. And therefore, the Rabbanan held that it's ein ruach chacham neichemenu. It's going to work, but ein ruach chacham neichemenu. Mishnah Vav, Oimer zeb b'ni neman. If someone says that this is my son, and the Gemara says negea two things: Sai l'inyan that he get Yerusha, and Sai l'inyan that his wife will be pater from yibum if he dies, and he has a brother, and now he's saying I have a son, and therefore there's no yibum, so he's believed. Achi, if he says that this is my brother, and then he's not believed. The Gemara says that the reason why by Zeb B'ni he's believed is because he could avoid her yibum a different way by just being megarisher. So therefore, even in a case where we know that he has a brother, it's mostly ba'ach, and he's trying to avoid yibum by saying Zeb B'ni, he's believed because it's biyadai legarsha. The Mishnah continues. In the case of Za'achai, let's say there's Ruvain and Shimon is saying that there's a third brother, so we'll call him the Suffolk. So Shimon believes there's a Suffolk, that's another third brother, and Ruvain says that, I don't know, he's the Suffolk, I have no idea. So Noitel Imoy Bechelkai, the halacha would be that if there's 3 fields, so Ruvain would get 1.5, and Shimon would have to take his 1.5 and split it, he would get 3/4, and the Suffolk would get 3/4. Mace, if the Suffolk dies, so then it goes right back to Shimon. And now again, Shimon will have 1.5, and Reuven has 1.5. But Dr. Mishnah, let's say this Suffolk has a Yerusha from someplace else. So now Reuven never said he's not my brother. Reuven said, I'm not sure, he's a Suffolk. So now Reuven has a right to that property. Yershu Achiv Ima. Unless Reuven totally denied that it's not his brother, he would have a right to the Yerusha from this Ach HaSafik. The Mishnah continues weiter. Misha Meis, if someone dies in Imsa Daitike, and they find next to him a star, which has a tzava on it, Kshur al Yirecha, it's tied on his thigh, so we know he wrote it. Hareze Eina Klum, it still is worthless. Why? Because even though a Shchimera doesn't have to make a kinyan, but over here he wrote it in a star, so he wants it to work with the star, and we know Ein Star La'achar Misa, so therefore Eina Klum. It would only be if he's zicha b'la'achar, if he was mezakit to someone else, even without making a kinyan, bein min hayarshin, bein she'enim min hayarshin, then we say, divrei shchim rak suvim surim dami, and then it would be dvar of kayamin. The reason why dvar suvim surim dami is a really Gemara in the 9th parak on Kuf Mem Zayin. First, the Gemara, one man Dharma says that it's min ha-Torah, Shtaisa says only asmachta, and then the Maskanas HaGemara is what we normally say, that the reason why divrei shchim rak suvim surim dami is midirabanan, because we're afraid Shema Titariv Daitelov, that it's going to make him upset and it's going to make him get sick more. So therefore they said that the kinyan works without a regular, without it's going to work that which he gives it away even without a kinyan.